Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to discuss Nexomon 3 and their equipment system that Jay Veman, the developer, stated is going to replace the core system from Nexomon Extinction, which, if you don't recall, cores were a pretty simplistic approach to the idea of having held items. However, instead of just being able to equip one of any given core to a Nexomon, you could equip 4. This might sound like it's extremely complex at face value. However, you have to remember that cores didn't really have any special effect other than giving monsters specific status buffs, or for PvE stuff like getting more gold on victory or XP. For battling purposes, cores would basically be like buff attack, buff defense, etc. Now, if you watched our Monster Tamer news video that came out earlier this week, you'd know that the developer is actually planning on expanding this system by completely getting rid of it. The new system that's being suggested is an equipment system where you can attach various, pieces of equipment to your monster, each of which will have their own buffs, debuffs, and special effects. That being said, it's also been stated that because the battle system is going to be more complex, there is a debate going on between having the system affect your monsters individually or globally, and that you'd be able to basically affect your whole team with various buffs instead of an individual monster. So yeah, I quickly just wanted to discuss my thoughts on doing something like this and what the implications could be for both sides. So firstly, let's talk about the more standardized method of having equipment, which is something that'll attach to individual party members. This is the type of system that would allow for more customization for each monster, allowing you to min-max them to your pleasure. However, depending on how complex Nexomon's battle system becomes, this could also cause confusion with what is any good on any monster and what are the best pieces of equipment and stuff like that. Monster Sanctuary, another monster taming game, also has an equipment system of its own, and I feel it's really well done, so I'd expect to see some sort of equipment system that works similarly. However, what I will say is that complexity does not always equal better. I can definitely see a case for people being overwhelmed if they do increase complexity in terms of battling too greatly on top of a very complex and nuanced equipment system. Personally, and maybe I'll make an entire video on this, but I do want them to add complexity to Nexomon 3, but not go overboard to the point where the game is unrecognizable from its predecessors or just extremely confusing to get a grasp on, like something like Cirillum. Now, obviously, we're gonna have to wait and see what this new battle system depth is, but I'm not against them taking a global approach to things either if they deem that necessary. I do think that there are various ways they can make a global system work, such as having certain pieces of equipment that actually attaches to the player character that invigorates their monsters, and these buffs could include bonuses to various stats, elemental bonuses. You could potentially have different pieces of equipment that greatly boost something at the cost of something else, and more. I do think that having a global system actually does add its own layer of complexity, because when it comes to having individual monster equipment, there is going to be a quote meta for said monsters. So if PvP does become a thing, there's going to be a lot of people running the exact same set. However, it's going to be a lot trickier to find one set that would fit every team if equipment is global. There's honestly tons they could do with this system, and I can't really talk too much about it until we have more information, but I did want to sort of set the record straight on the idea that a global system would immediately be inferior, because I don't think that that's the case, and I think that there is a place for a system that affects an entire party, and it's something we don't really see in the genre. But yeah, that being said, if you're hyped for Nexomon 3, definitely subscribe to the channel. There's more content to come. You can check out my Twitter, Discord, and Patreon linked below. And special thanks to the patrons, especially Jim Hamilton, Drove Ghost, Dark Persona, Exodus, and Candy Morency, and we'll see you next time. Peace.